Hey, welcome to the Invisible Advantage. Today we're talking about opportunities, okay? And we're talking about legitimate opportunities. I get a lot of calls year round about trying to help athletes get to the next level. And what they really need to understand is that all of their success, all of it lies with them. And that's your negotiating power. That really is the voice that speaks for you. And what I mean by that is your performance on the ice. And that seems like common sense. But it's not so common. You know, when you're approaching the season and you really drill down, for example, in the month of September, when you're making that hockey team and you look at your schedule ahead of time and look at who is playing and how are they doing during the season and which players are really key, that's how you're preparing every single week to go on and compete against the other teams. Well, the same thing happens in the off season where you're trying to identify a legitimate opportunity. I want you guys this week to take the opportunity to look through the league that you would like to play in. So let's just use something here. Let's go to the junior A leagues or major junior leagues out here in Vancouver. You can do this in your own community. Identify specifically the team that you're looking at and what age the goaltenders are and how much success did they have the year before. You know, I kind of gauge the Western Hockey League as a target goal for less than 200 goals for the team for the entire season on 72 games. That's a regular season total. It needs to be at 200 or less, preferably in the 180s to 190 range. That would be a good season in my books for the Western Hockey League. So if you're looking at those and they've got 300, a lot of things could be taking place. Terrible goaltending, weak defense, rebuilding, young players. There could be a lot of things going on. I guarantee you the one thing that's really important and that is front and center are the owners. They want to win. That's what they want to do. They've put in a lot of money. They want to provide an opportunity for athletes to play hockey at the highest level. And the coaches want to win, otherwise they're not going to be there very long. So they are looking for players that are going to help them win more so than ever. And a friend of mine told me this a long time ago, and an NHL coach told him on one of his first weeks in coaching in the NHL, and was there's only two things in the league. There's only two, and that's winning and misery. So if you find a team that's on the misery scale and they're allowing 300 goals in a season in 72 games, you need to take a look at what their goaltending is. And if their goaltending is below 800 save percentage and their goals against is up in the threes, they're probably looking for a change. And if they've got older goaltenders, they're probably going to look for a younger guy to bring in. Maybe they're going to look for a trade, but you need a legitimate shot. If the goalies are aging out, that's an easy decision. There's probably two spots available. They may have drafted someone in the past, but most cases, they're praying for that goalie to come through as a premier goaltender, and they're not really locking in on the fact that, hey, this guy, this is what we need to do with him and things like that. You need to take control over what that team needs. So first, identify, number one, do they have space? Do they have one guy leaving? Do they have two guys leaving? Do they have nobody leaving? You want to grade it into A, B, and C. So grade A opportunities are those teams reaching out and talking to you personally, saying, I want to invite you out to our camp. I think that you've got the skill and the ability to play at this level. We'd like you to try out. That's a grade A opportunity. Grade B opportunity is if you're pushing yourself, you got to make sure they've got a legitimate shot. If you're pushing on a rope, meaning they've got two goaltenders, they've allowed between them less than 200 goals in a 72-game season, and they're only 18 years old, you're wasting your time. They're not looking for a goaltending change. They've got success in their stables. So it's really important, unless they're going to be trading or there's rumors that they're going to trade one to acquire maybe another defenseman or forward, they may get someone back in return, or that's where your opportunity may lie. But I would slide that down to that grade C opportunity, okay? And that would be, if you're approached by a team that says that you might be able to play at that level, but it's a dear player letter, not personal. You look and, really they want to have a camp and there's 8 teams at that camp, and they've got goaltenders of age. They're probably not going to be legitimate shots or legitimate opportunities. They're going to be looky-loo camps to see if they find a diamond in the rough, but for the most part, they've made their decisions. So let's be real. Like, would you draft you? Would you sign you? And that really comes down to my episode 3, where it was, you've got to become the goaltender that you need to be next year now. So that those behaviors need to change. Your attitude needs to change. all of these things change. And that really comes down to one of the premier opportunities as becoming the very best you can be now until next year, where you become someone even better. Okay, so those are the things that you really need to look at. When you're talking about legitimate opportunities and you're attending these camps, don't wait for everybody to set the pace of what's happening in that camp. You set the pace. Whether you're a forward or a defenseman, you want to skate as hard as you can and you want to attack as hard as you can, like it's the Stanley Cup final. Like, you want to play tough. You don't want to play and kind of just blend in with everybody else. You want to play tough, like this means everything to you. And don't forget, that's got to be your identity. As a goaltender, you've got to be consistent. You've got to understand that your defense are not going to be 100%, in sync with the style of play you have or your game plan. So you've got to use your voice and communicate to them. Talk to them in the dressing room, become friends. Allow them to want to stand in front of pucks and be motivated to do the things that you need to do. Those are the things that you need to do when you're going to these types of camps. And remember, the only thing you control is your own personal performance. Politics will always play a role. Politics are always out there. It doesn't change from minor hockey all the way through to the National Hockey League. Okay, if a goaltender's playing terrible in the National Hockey League and he's a $10 million goalie, it's going to be pretty hard to tell the owner you want to send him down to the American Hockey League. It's not going to happen. So these types of things do play a role. In your case, the most important thing you can do is be the very best positional player that you can be. And if you're told you're a number 2 goaltender, none of that stuff means anything to me. Okay, it means that you're on the team and that you're constantly in support of the number 1 goaltender. You're constantly pushing that number 1 goaltender to be great. And you're there ready to take over in the event that that goaltender needs a break, or he gets hurt, or the coach just wants to mix things up a little bit. And those are your opportunities. They could be 1 minute, they could be 33 seconds, they could be 3 games. Okay, it's very, very important. One goaltender that I had went to the NCAA. A great guy, coaches now, and he went into a game where they were losing 6-0 at the 12-minute mark of the second period. He went in as the third guy going in, and guess what happened? He gets a shutout. The team comes back and wins 7-6 in overtime. So here's a guy that went from, they are throwing the game away, to earning that shutout in that game and allowing their team to come back and win 7-6. It became the college hockey game of the year. So you got to sometimes turn, that vinegar into a sweet tasting juice. Okay. You might get a really bad opportunity or a bad hand. We've already lost the game. Nothing's lost until you finish that game. So keep pushing, keep being the very best that you can. And that's where you're going to become the very best goaltender you possibly can be. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. I'm here. I'm going to answer your questions for you. I've been doing this for 31 years, so hopefully I can share this with people that I may never meet. And also like and subscribe. And if you know a goalie that, or an association or someone that may need to hear this message, or they want to use this as a tool, go ahead and send it off to them, whether it's a goalie, school, or whomever. I'm happy to assist in any way, shape, or form that I can, and compliment my brothers and sisters in the game so that we can make sure that, the people that matter, the players, the parents that are putting the time, energy, and money into those programs, are getting the most they possibly can for the least amount, because let's face it, hockey can be expensive. And we want to make sure that you're getting the very best information from all of the best people you can. And I just hope to be one of those little cogs in the wheel that can help you. All right. So if you have any questions, feel free to comment. I'm happy to reach out to you. Take care of yourself and enjoy the Stanley Cup playoffs. It's a lot of fun. If you have any questions, make sure that you make sure that you share, and of course, comment. I'll reach out to you personally and I'll make sure that I answer the questions that you might have. And thank you so much for joining me on The Invisible Advantage.